All right, so we've got this other ruling from a federal court. Is this a federal court? I believe it's a federal court. This is the headline from the Associated Press. Judge bars Trump from denying federal funds to sanctuary cities that limits immigration cooperation. Now, I was actually kind of excited for this. Because I was thinking, this would sort of force various states to abide by our immigration laws. But let's just read the article to see here what the details are in regards to why exactly this is a problem. A federal judge in California on Thursday barred the Trump administration from denying or conditioning the use of federal funds to sanctuary jurisdictions, saying that portions of President Donald Trump's executive orders were unconstitutional. Okay, so not even the whole executive order was unconstitutional then. Okay, it's interesting. U.S. District Judge William Orrick issued the injunction sought by San Francisco and more than a dozen other municipalities that limit cooperation with federal immigration efforts. Orrick wrote that defendants are prohibited from directly or indirectly taking any action to withhold, freeze, or condition federal funds. The administration must provide written notice of his order to all federal departments and agencies by Monday. One executive order issued by Trump directs Attorney General Pam Bondi and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to withhold federal money from sanctuary jurisdictions. The second order directs every federal agency to ensure that payments to state and local governments do not, quote, abet so-called sanctuary policies that seek to shield illegal aliens from deportation, end quote. At a hearing on Wednesday, the Justice Department lawyers argued that it was much too early for the judge to grant an injunction when the government had not taken any action to withhold specific amounts or to lay out conditions of specific grants. That's an interesting point, but at the same time, if a executive order is passed, I think generally speaking, a judge can say, oh, hey, no, that's unconstitutional, and pump the brakes on that. I think also maybe I could see the case if you're like, oh, well, there should be some sort of legal challenge. How are you going to strike something down when there's not even a complaint filed in the legal process? That argument, if that's what's being made, I could completely understand. But Orrick, who was nominated by President Barack Obama, said this was essentially what government lawyers argued during Trump's first term when the Republican issued a similar order. Their well-founded fear of enforcement is even stronger than it was in 2017, Orrick wrote, citing the executive orders as well as directives from Bondi, other federal agencies, and Justice Department lawsuits filed against Chicago and New York. San Francisco successfully challenged the 2017 Trump order, and the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals agreed with the lower court that the president exceeded his authority when he signed an executive order threatening to cut funding for sanctuary cities. Oh, that's interesting. So this has already been considered unconstitutional. So I wonder why Donald Trump has decided to do this again. Maybe he's thinking, they just misread the Constitution and maybe I'll get lucky the second time around. But generally speaking, when there's a ruling put in place by the Supreme Court, folks generally tend to leave well enough alone for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Like, people don't try to openly defy Supreme Court rulings until some years down the line. So I do find that a little bit surprising, but this has actually been a hallmark of what some folks have said would be Donald Trump's strategy in this term, right? It would be kind of like pushing the bounds to see what he could do, what he could get away with, what the courts will allow, and sort of testing various legal theories surrounding the constitutional powers that the president of the United States has in a way that previous presidents haven't really done before. And I guess this is just part of that. I think that Trump probably has no problem with, trying to see if he can defund sanctuary cities, and if he can't, oh well, I guess he was wrong. The Supreme Court's ruling must take effect. But that's one thing also to note in this whole situation. There's a whole paragraph here that I'm going to completely ignore. Here's another paragraph that I'm actually going to read. It's unclear if federal agencies will abide by the order. On Thursday, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy issued a reminder to recipients of federal transportation funding that they are expected to follow federal law, including on immigration enforcement, or face potential consequences. The department did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment. We know what's interesting, actually, is that if ICE is in a state or in a city, and they're trying to apprehend illegal immigrants, one could argue that, you know, maybe some sort of legal action could be taken against those who are sort of obstructing justice in that regard. Maybe not withholding, maybe that's the wrong stick to use to withhold funding. But at the end of the day, you know, Trump has already scared illegal immigrants enough. We're already seeing illegal immigration hit record lows. So honestly, if Donald Trump did nothing else in regards to the border, I would not care. I would take that. I would eat that W like I'm Jameis Winston, like quite literally, because you could say, oh, we need to build up the wall. Oh, we need to deport illegal immigrants. But at the same time, first of all, if people are not crossing our border, it's not as critical or urgent for us to go in and rebuild the damaged sections of the border wall. Right, because people are just starting crossing the border. We still need to do it, but it's not super urgent. And second of all, for the illegal immigrants who are already here, I've already been on the record in saying, like, hey, I would like to see a pathway for citizenship for these folks if they like start the process of becoming American citizens and they actually get full citizenship and they're peaceful and they're not running around committing crimes. I am 100% down for that. I don't think that we necessarily need to run around deporting all the illegal immigrants. I understand that it's probably technically fair. It's technically abiding by justice and abiding by the law, but I think we don't need to. Why kick these people out and say, hey, you've got to come in the legal way, rather than just make a legal way for them to be citizens here? I think that just saves resources. I've talked about this before in another video, so I'm not going to just keep on going on and on about it. But in general, I am very happy with the state of the border. He's lost this legal battle for now. But I will say that in general, Trump has been extremely successful when it comes to immigration. So am I worried about this? No, I'm not worried at all, because at the end of the day, illegal immigration is way down. The violent illegal immigrants are getting deported. It's still looking really, really good for America in terms of cracking down on illegal immigrants.